What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday, news was just everywhere. It was all over the place. In fact, I had to do a video last night about the Switch and PlayStation financials and the number of units they've sold being updated and software sales because there was just so much stuff happening and I probably wouldn't be able to fit it in to today's show. But we still have a ton of stuff to go over because we did find out that another, people would say, unthinkable port is happening with The Outer Worlds actually going to the Switch, and that surprised a lot of people, myself included. We'll talk a bit about that. And then, yes, Activision at it again, doing what I think is going to be a trend for them and possibly other developers, publishers, AAA, we'll say that, AAA games. You might see this be a trend that's starting to pop up, and we'll talk a bit about that and what's happening with Crash Team Racing, because microtransactions, they're going exactly where I thought they'd be going with that game. As always, guys, enjoy these videos. Make sure to like button, it does help out. We're going to start today with Concrete Genie. It's a game that we had seen, I think over 2 years ago. I remember seeing it at first when it was previewed at E3, and after that, it was also shown off at other times on YouTube with trailers and everything. It's made by a smaller developer, Pixel Opus, and it looked kind of interesting. It looked different than a lot of stuff we had seen. Well, we have a release date for it now. It's October 8th, and I'm a bit concerned it might get kind of lost in the shuffle with everything happening this holiday overall, but I think it's still a game worth checking out. It's also going to be a pretty fair price at $30, and if you missed it, this is the game where the main character is able to like paint on the walls and everything, and the creatures were coming to life, and he's being picked on during the trailers by bullies and everything. So that seems to be what the story is setting up. It's a younger kid who's pretty much being bullied and then finds friends with these different creations that they make by painting and stuff. It looks interesting. $30 isn't bad. I'll definitely be checking it out. We also got to look at games with gold for August. So coming up pretty soon, you'll be able to pick up a couple of games. Now, I looked at some of these and I said, okay, that's part of Game Pass, but all right, there is one in here though. So anyway, here's the screenshot that shows all of the different games, and you can see from left to right, we have Gears of War 4. That'll be immediately part of games with gold as soon as we hit August 1st, whereas some of the other ones will be coming in halfway through the month. Forza 6 is one of those. That'll be August 16th to September 15th. And then we have Torchlight on the Xbox 360, August 1st to the 15th. And a pretty good one. I would check this out. Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I actually liked that game. I know when it came out, it wasn't as, people weren't as into it at the time. It was really annoying to some people, but that's one I would check out. I think that's worth a look. I mean, it's part of Games with Gold. If you already have Xbox Live Gold, you can just download it and try it out on your Xbox, and I think that one's definitely worth checking out. Gears of War possibly as well, although again, it's already part of Game Pass, but you may want to get caught up on Gears of War before you check out Gears 5, just to make sure you know everything's good with the story and you understand what's going on there. Otherwise, though, not a bad month. Seriously, Castlevania, Gears of War, an older Forza game, traditional style, and Torchlight. It's actually a pretty good lineup for games with gold. Also, you remember how we had Turok show up on the Switch? It was already on the Xbox One. I remember I even did a video way back when about that, and I really liked it there, liked it on the Switch. Well, it looks like Turok II Seeds of Evil is also coming to the Switch. Now, they had previously talked about that being a thing and that they were working on it, but we have a release date now, which is great. August 9th, so not too much longer, like 10 days or so, and you'll be able to pick that one up. So I'm looking forward to that. I like Turok 1 that they put on the Switch. It had so many options. It played well, and it was old school Turok just brought up to current times with current systems, and it's worth checking out the second one as well. And we'll see if they continue this push with Turok or maybe another franchise. Oh, and for those of you waiting to pre-order the Switch Lite, it is able to be pre-ordered now. Originally, they've been waiting for some FCC paperwork and stuff to get pushed through, but all of that's done, and it started to pop up for pre-orders online and most likely in stores. I haven't gone to my local GameStop or Best Buy or anything to see if I can pre-order it in store, but online you're able to do so, and as you would expect, it sold out very quickly. The Pokemon one specifically sold out like immediately, like it went up, boom, gone. But I was still able to check out with a gray, and then I'm also going to see if I can get a turquoise Switch Lite as well, because of course we're going to pull one apart here, so I might as well make sure I'm set up, because I don't think Nintendo is going to be sending one out to me to do, because I'm gonna open the thing up, and there are people who probably want to play it and talk about it from that angle, whereas I'm looking for that analog stick and other parts inside. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get in the bigger stuff. We're gonna start with The Outer Worlds right away, because this was a very surprising announcement that just it just got dropped. It was just put out there. There was this 4-minute long trailer with the developers talking about it and what they liked about The Outer Worlds, what we can expect from it. And they were like, oh yeah, it's also on the Switch. That's right, we're on Nintendo's YouTube channel right now. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's coming to the Switch. This is surprising. Yeah, a lot of people were pointing at this as being the most impressive game that they've seen so far. And I mean, The Witcher, right, The Witcher 3 is still out there. I mean, we still have to see how everything looks and plays and runs and everything across both games, because either one could come out and it could look like Ark for all we know right now. You know, we need to see it in person before we can make that determination, but to see this makes a lot of sense if you consider what the Switch does not have right now, which is a traditional style Fallout game. And I say traditional Fallout game, I actually mean, you know, the first person shooters, not necessarily the old Fallout games, but The Outer Worlds is from the creators of Fallout. So it's gonna be Fallout, and it's gonna be pretty good, it seems anyway. Again, it needs to come out, we need to check it out, see reviews, play it, but so far it sounds like in a world where we have Fallout 76 as our latest Fallout game, this is where everyone's gonna be running to play Fallout again. And again, surprising to see it on the Switch, because we don't have a Fallout game, but a lot of people figured it wouldn't run on the Switch. That was something that was being talked about prior, and boom, it's announced. Keep in mind, I've said this before, and I'll probably say it a bunch of other times, the reason developers are unsure if the Switch will work with it is sometimes, yes, will the game run, but it comes down to that storage size on the cartridges. They have to make sure they can fit it on the cartridge and it costs within reason. Now, another thing that a lot of people were curious about is, hey, doesn't Microsoft own Obsidian? Does that mean that Microsoft is putting this game out? Well, I mean, kinda, but here's the thing. The Outer Worlds was already done. It was inked, the deal was, and everything between Obsidian and Take-Two. Take-Two's gonna be publishing the game. Obsidian, of course, creating it. So while Microsoft does own Obsidian, they have no problem letting the developers that they buy uphold their contracts that they had previously. That's why things like Ninja Theory was developing, and they obviously put games on the Switch now. It makes sense that this would also be something they could put on the Switch if they wanted to. Again, Microsoft's also not opposed to doing this stuff. I mean, again, Hellblade, no problem. Cuphead, no problem. And now The Outer Worlds, yeah, no problem. Go ahead and do it. I think Microsoft is very open to this, and it does make me wonder what else could be coming down the pipeline from Microsoft. But again, this is definitely more on Obsidian and Take-Two seeing an opportunity. It's a big opportunity. There's no Fallout on the Switch. So yeah, why wouldn't you put a game that mimics Fallout on the Switch? It's baffling to me that Bethesda has not even tried to put Fallout 3 on the system. People would have bought that, but hey, I guess you snooze, you lose if you're Bethesda, and here comes The Outer Worlds. Oh, also, The Outer Worlds is launching October 25th on the other platforms, so the PS4, PC, and the Xbox. PC, of course, Epic Games Store exclusive to start with, probably about a year's time. The Switch version, we're still waiting to hear when that one will release, but it sounds like it's coming out afterwards, and they're going to be working with Virtuos to make that happen. So think of like Final Fantasy X, 10-2, 12, I believe. Those were done by Virtuos, so they have some experience with the Switch. Next up, let's talk about Crash Team Racing and Activision. See, Activision has done something with Call of Duty that a lot of us realized after the fact, and that was that they went back and added microtransactions after reviewers had a chance to play it and review it. They put out their written pieces, their videos on it. They said, hey, this is a good Call of Duty, and there's no microtransactions. This is crazy. And then they add them later. It's something Activision seems to be doing now because they're doing the exact same thing with Crash Team Racing. And I went back and watched the video because I have the game on my Xbox One X. Now, I remember I did a video on it and everything, and I said, I like this game, it's great. But the pit stop really looks like they could add microtransactions. And hey, they're doing it. This is actually in the update they put out. They talked all about this. This is part of their blog post saying, there will also now be a way for players to fast track their Wumpa coin collection if they like. Starting in early August, players will have the option to purchase Wumpa coin bundles from their game console stores to supplement the coins they earn by playing. So yes, fast tracking the grind, essentially. I mean, that's what you're doing, right? They placed a grind in front of a gamer saying, hey, would you like to fast track this with some extra money, or do you want to keep grinding away for hours? And that's the thing. It's unfortunate, but I think this is a strategy Activision has adopted at this point because everyone already reviewed Crash Team Racing. Most people already bought it who really were going to pick it up or really into it. And now they're left with microtransactions being added to a game that wasn't there previously. But again, if you look at the pit stop, I think it was pretty obvious. I kept looking at that and saying, I know exactly where microtransactions would fit in here. This makes a ton of sense. It cycles through stuff, things show up for a little bit, then leave, and then come back. And so it kind of gives you that thought of, I'm going to miss out on this thing if I don't get it now. So I can either grind or I can just buy it. And here we are, microtransactions in Crash Team Racing. What I want to definitely put out there is when we start reviewing this stuff again, because the next Call of Duty is coming up, so I'm going to look out for this. I think a similar thing's going to happen. I'm also curious if EA and Ubisoft try this as well, to where they get the good fortune of reviewers and just word of mouth at first, and then they work in the microtransactions. Something to keep an eye on, because even Crash Team Racing isn't immune to it. Next up, let's talk about the hero in Smash Bros. Who's the latest DLC character for the game for Smash Bros. Ultimate. Sakurai actually had a full video for this, and he went through everything. He was, obviously he's really into it, created it and everything, and was talking about it. And it was funny to see him use 2 controllers at once, because he did it with such ease. I was actually kind of amazed by that, with how easy he was like, yeah, I'll just move this. And sure, I mean, he's probably been at his desk for a long time doing that for decades now, but it was really funny to watch that. Anyway, he went over everything with the hero characters. They're out now, by the way, so they did drop last night, which technically those tweets would have been right, because I guess that would have been the 31st in the UK, and I guess that makes sense. So yeah, they accidentally leaked it early, but hey, you're probably already playing with the hero now. Anyway, now the update also came with a few other things, because this was update 4 that dropped alongside the hero. So we did get online tournaments, which is kind of interesting, although the online for Smash isn't great right now anyway. Most people will tell you that. The online mode is there though, so that will be something I want to see how that goes. I also like the idea of spectator mode, where you can bet on who you think will win. I like that one as well. And then they also had a final smash meter, which will now have a time limit that will make it harder to use your attack range to play a waiting game. And this is all what Sakurai was saying there. I like the idea of tournament mode. I hope it actually works out online, and having to be able to bet with coins and stuff during spectator mode is cool as well. But now we all turn our attention to Banjo-Kazooie, and when is he gonna come out? We assume this fall, and then who are the last 2 characters? Because we have Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo could have been like the big one right at the end, right? But we still have 2 more, and you feel like the last 2 for Smash Bros. Ultimate, the ultimate Smash Bros. Game, have to be like mind-blowing, right? Like, could we see a Chrono? Could we see a Sora? Could we see Doom Guy? It's very possible. Master Chief. A lot of options out there, so let me know who you think could be one of the last 2. And our last bit of news, talk about the Oculus Quest, because something interesting is happening with this headset. Now, the difference between the Oculus Quest and a traditional VR headset is you don't really need anything else with it. You get the Quest, and then you can play the different games, and it's able to track you while you're moving and everything, whereas previously the Oculus Go couldn't do it that well. But the Quest is an all-in-one headset. No computer, no console needed, nothing. You get it, you play it, you're good. And it seems that it's actually caught on a bit, because it keeps selling out. I have a hard time finding it in my area even still. It's always sold out at Best Buy unless you want the really expensive one. A lot of people want the cheaper model because, well, if you're gonna try it, you might as well get the cheaper option just to see if you'll even enjoy it. But it's always sold out, and this seems to be a trend everywhere, because Mark Zuckerberg actually talked with investors on Facebook all about this. This is actually what he had to say. This quarter, we shipped Oculus Quest, our first all-in-one headset with no wires and full freedom of movement. It has gotten great reviews, and we're selling them as fast as we can make them. More importantly, we've delivered an experience that people keep using week after week and buying more content. So that's good that people are buying the games on there. I'm sure Super Hot and Beat Saber and those games are very popular, and people are probably trying them for the first time because they didn't want to build a computer to play VR. They didn't feel like getting a PlayStation 4 and setting all this stuff up, wires, all this stuff. You get the Quest and it's wireless. Here's the thing. I do think ease of access is the biggest barrier right now for VR, and the Quest seems to have broken that, which is a good thing. So we saw those patents about the next PlayStation VR being possibly wireless, and I hope that's a possibility. I hope that's a thing, because I think that is the next big thing for VR that the Quest is proving right now. Now, here's the other side. It's very possible that Facebook wasn't sure, wasn't sure how well it would sell, right? The Oculus Quest. And they just didn't make that many, and they were very conservative with how many they were going to put out there. So, yeah, it's going to sell if you only send a store like 2 or 3 of them, but they've had a while to restock, and they seem to be doing that. It's just to keep selling out, so who knows? Here's the thing, they haven't released any official sales numbers, so we really can't gauge how well the Oculus Quest is actually doing, but at least it seems like it's doing well if it's selling out. Either way, wireless for VR, I think, is the future. And we'll finish up with comment of the day, as you're seeing here from Majuv saying, Need for Speed Underground 2 is like the unsurpassed legend. I played several Need for Speed games after that, but somehow it never recaptured the magic Underground 1 and especially 2 had. So a remaster of this, yes please. A remake with all the loot box elements EA has been pushing down our throat. No. So I have talked to other people who say that they really like Carbon as well. And yeah, Carbon and Need for Speed Underground 2 are like right there, like neck and neck, right? I get that. But that's the one concern. Need for Speed Payback had quite a few loot boxes. Loot boxes were all over the place in that game, and you were getting car parts and stuff. It was weird. It was so weird. But let's say EA really has learned from this whole loot box thing, and they just want to keep it in FIFA because that's where all of their money's coming from anyway, and they can build games on top of other ways of monetizing them. Because, I mean, let's be real, they're never just going to stop monetizing their games outright in some way outside of the $60 purchase price. They're just not going to do it. And car games are the worst, by the way, because a lot of times, we just saw it with Forza, for example, they get delisted. Drive Club getting delisted, and a lot of it has to do with licensing. So that's not really a game I want to pump more money into. But if they can make a new Need for Speed game and not put the loot box and stuff in, I think that fandom will come back. I think they'll really be into it. But it definitely, if you remake Underground 2, don't remake it if you have plans of putting loot box in there, because we don't have to tarnish the name of Underground 2. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going to do here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's the Outer Worlds on the Switch. Did that catch you off guard? We're getting close to release. I mean, again, it's at the end of October, so a couple months out. Are you surprised that it's being dropped on the Switch? Maybe this year. It might be early next year. They're not really sure, but let me know if that one surprised you, or was it The Witcher 3 that surprised you more? Yeah, definitely. And what do you think about Activision coming back and adding microtransactions to their games, whether it's Call of Duty or Crash Team Racing? Is this a trend that will continue because they can bypass reviews putting out a scathing remark about these microtransactions during the time of release? Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you next time.